The cream of the crop!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I got to admit that I used to think that the worst thing that we could see in this country was Justin Trudeau flaunting his scandalous behavior in our faces, openly admitting that contracts were given to colleagues, friends, those with close ties to pad the pockets of the corrupt, and then have the police never do anything about it, while we were all on the hook for the tax bills that came, the mass money printing that went on in this country, and the devaluation of our money and our goods. One of the most fundamental rights of a Canadian are being stripped away. And we truly live in dark times that I honestly can't believe I would ever have to talk about this on a camera to a colleague, to my neighbor, to a family member. That, a lot of people over exaggerate when they say, hey, we live in a dictatorship. A lot of people said that during the pandemic and everything. And I'm not disagreeing with that statement or the totalitarian behavior of our government, but does it ever really truly start to feel like we're living in a dictatorship? I've talked about the government being a new form of the mob for a long time. The corrupt behavior, lining of pockets, the conflicts of interest. The Liberals have shown you today they don't care about you one bit. We talked yesterday about the horrible fact that Mark Carney has acknowledged Palestine as its own state, what that's going to do to Canada as more of them come over here, what it's going to do to our trade negotiations with the United States. Donald Trump says he's going to stick the boots to Canada. I hope he does. I really hope he does. And when I say that, folks, try and understand it can't really get any worse for us, the tax-paying public at this point. So, yeah, I hope it gets a lot worse for Mark Carney. They're not just flaunting their scandals in your face anymore, the behavior. They're letting you know that you don't matter. Your life has no value in this country. And if you were to dare say anything about it, well, just hold on to your seats, because you'll never guess where things are moving forward after I show you this clip. Mark Carney's Liberals just voted against a Conservative motion to keep repeat violent criminals behind bars. The Liberals continue their long tradition of standing with repeat violent offenders over victims. Now, in less than 3 weeks, Tamara Lich and Chris Barber appear before a court to decide their fate. Crown is seeking 8 years in jail for mischief. We covered a story on this channel where a man in his 20s essayed a young child, went to jail, got let out in 6 months on good behavior, and then went and broke into the home of a family friend and essayed their 3-year-old, causing all kinds of psychological and physical harm, and then requested bail and to go to a women's prison because he's trans. And the government's happy to stand up for those people. But if you dare speak out about your government, if you commit a hate crime, you won't believe the length of the sentences that you're going to get. But these guys who behave like I just described, well, just watch as they all stand up here. Absolutely ridiculous. This is the fall of our nation.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali.
Madame Diab.
Madame Diab.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. Robertson.
Mr. Robertson.
Mr. Hodgson.
Mr. Hodgson.
Ms. Thompson.
Ms. Thompson.
Ms. Haidu.
Ms. Haidu.
Madame Michel.
Madame Michel.
Monsieur Guilbeault.
Monsieur Guilbeault.
Mr. Fraser.
Mr. Fraser.
Ms. Olszewski,
Mizosevsky,
Mr. Solomon,
Mr. Solomon,
Yeah, I can't even play the audio anymore. I'm not even going to subject you guys to this. This is the downfall of our country. Like, this isn't me whining or saying, I just don't like their politics or their policies. This is truly the downfall of your nation, your country. The clown show, as conservative politicians are asking for common sense. They're saying if you commit crimes, you go to jail. The problem in this country and the problem with hate speech, the problem with everything is that it all comes down, it's not hate speech, it's speech they hate. It's all designed so that if you dare challenge them, that's who they want to punish. Not the people that are actually out committing the crimes, the people that are actually making their lives difficult to continue. Let's see if we can get that better on the screen for you. To continue making their lives difficult while they want to continue behaving like crooks, liars, thieves. Knowing all of that, I'll probably have to delete this video at some point in time because tisk tisk, I could go to jail. But now the hate crime bill, C5, could criminalize protests, Civil Liberties Group says. So it'll criminalize protests like the Freedom Convoy. You know, one of your actual rights as a Canadian citizen, the right to protest. This individual has made it his prerogative to ensure that your voice has no weight in this country, that you can't dare question their authority. But they'll allow the people that they allowed statehood to the other day, yeah, they'll allow them to continue to flood our streets and wave their flags and burn our flags. That's not hate speech. Civil Liberties Association says that the Liberal government's new hate crime bill runs the risk of criminalizing peaceful protest. The bill, introduced Friday, would create new crimes of obstruction, intimidation aimed at protecting places of worship and institutions, including schools, daycares, and senior residents used by an identifiable group. The new intimidation offense is far broader than existing prohibitions and could criminalize peaceful protests simply because they are seen as disruptive, said Anais McNally, director of the group's Fundamental Freedoms Program, in a news release on Monday. So it's disruptive protests, horn honking, standing out front of the House of Commons with a sign. If you're disrupting them, well, here's where we get to the problem. The maximum penalty under the new legislation would be 10 years in prison. McNally said the penalty is very severe and could punish activists into silence. Again, taking away your fundamental rights of free speech and the right to protest. The Civil Liberties Group said that the bill could affect tens of thousands of community spaces across the country. It added police can protect public safety using existing laws on mischief, there's the common one, intimidation, threats, and harassment. So keep in mind, intimidation, threats, and harassment were never part of the Freedom Convoy, but mischief is what's being cited. For 8 years in jail for Tamara and Chris. Now, here's my question. Who decides what a disruptive protest is? Who makes the decision as to when these charges go against those who wish to protest? Is it every protest? Or is it just the ones that random government officials deem inappropriate or disruptive? That's the problem here, is who is making these decisions. It doesn't apply to everybody. We all know that. The bill would not create bubble zones to prohibit protests around designated buildings, such as zones to have ordered by provinces and municipalities. Sean Fraser told reporters Friday that the bill goes to great lengths to specifically protect the ability of Canadians to take part in peaceful protests. Again, the Freedom Convoy was a peaceful protest. People had their bank accounts frozen for donating $25. Their lives were ruined by an overreach and overstep of the Canadian government over a matter of $25. Who decides what a peaceful protest is? I know I keep saying the same things, folks. But what really shocks me these days, and it's something I spoke to my colleagues about the other night, is that a lot of people during the end of the Justin Trudeau era seemed real interested to get news on social media platforms, to find out what the mainstream media wouldn't tell them. They were angry. They were up in arms. They were shouting from the rooftops, I can't believe Trudeau's doing all this stuff. And yet, once Mark Carney becomes prime minister, and he's almost doing things worse than Justin Trudeau, especially in the spending department, the deficit department, the law department, in terms of your personal protections, your securities, and nobody seems to care. One of my colleagues happened to say it's because Mark Carney's just good at it. He's not a bumbling idiot like Trudeau, so people just let it go. Is this really what we're prepared to give up? And sit idly by and say, well, the bill would also make it a criminal offense to willfully promote hate through the use of hate symbols and create a new category of hate crime, which could be layered on top of existing offenses. Mark Carney over the weekend had said that platforms like X, YouTube, etc., well, Canadians don't need those. We don't need any of that. There's a lot of hate in those places. We're going to make sure we filter all that out. Sounds like censorship to me. This is about shutting down your news networks, your information, your ability to say, I don't like this. And they were very vocal over the weekend about how much they're going to fight against online platforms to make sure you can't say anything. If you need to go one step further as to where this is going to go, let's listen to what Sean Fraser had to say. As a hate crime, it's not just 10 years, folks. A hate crime can go all the way up to life in prison. Life in prison. If the government doesn't want you saying something. Could you imagine if this was a law by the time Chris and Tamara go to court? What that means? Do you know, like, we're not talking about 8 years anymore. They could find some bananas way of saying, oh, this was so horrible, they need to be locked away for life. Break into somebody's home and essay their child. Yeah, you'll go to a trans prison and maybe get 6 months. But hey, say something bad about the Liberals. Oh, lock them up and throw away the key. All while they all voted down to keep real criminals in jail. How do you like Canada now? How long until Canadians are begging at the U.S. border, please allow me in, I'm claiming asylum from a dictator government? I can't believe this is where we are.
Let me deal with the hate penalty first. So if you're found guilty of an indictable offense, a maximum penalty under the hate crime, it will be 5 years. If the maximum term of imprisonment for the included offense is 2 years or more, but less than 5 years. 10 years if the maximum term of imprisonment is included offense is 5 years or more, but less than 10 years. 14 years if the maximum term of imprisonment is the included offense is 10 years or more, but less than 14 years. And life if the maximum term of imprisonment for the included offense is 14 years or more, and up to imprisonment for life.
Imprisonment for life. This is the comment that nails it. Only for white dudes voting against the liberal narrative. The heinous act of disagreeing with a liberal. Is there a definition of said hate crimes? Absolutely not. They will decide what's best for you. What is a hate crime? I've never heard of someone committing a crime out of love. I mean, Elon Musk, they don't ban hate speech, they ban the speech they hate. And that's exactly what we're dealing with here. The problem is that while the conservatives try to push motions forward to be tougher on crime, if you look at that video, this is the problem, folks, that I said we were stepping into in this session of Parliament. And a lot of people got mad at me. Why do you got to be so negative against the conservatives and Pierre? All I'm saying is, yeah, we're going to get good opposition. We're going to get a lot of banter back and forth, but nothing that is going to benefit us is going to get done in this country because everyone is against the conservatives. We might as well call Mark Carney's government a majority government. They are literally able to pass anything they want at this point. They're allowed to spend whatever they like. There's no limit on their deficits. Up to over $100 billion, by the way, folks. Projected. This country is bursting at the seams. It is going to crumble. And for the limited time that I maybe have some form of free speech left, I have to come out and say that if you have a way out of this country at this point, you should probably take that option. Whatever options you have to get out of here, you should probably pack up and get out of here. Canada's a lost cause, folks. As far as I'm concerned, until somebody else shows me different. You know, I usually tell people, call your MPs, send letters to their offices, emails, ask them what they're going to do if they want to keep their jobs. I don't think it's going to do anything at this point, folks. I really don't like being so negative. But if somebody wants to chime in the comments and tell me how we fix this problem, how we get back to normal in this country. None of this existed 10 years ago. There was no talk of this. In fact, before 10 years ago, there was a time where if you told people, yeah, you're going to be jailed if you go to a protest or speak up against the Liberals, you could go to jail for life. And by the way, people who essay your children, who are creeps, who shouldn't be allowed out in daylight, yeah, those people are going to get to go out after a couple of months, while you could go to jail for life for just saying something mean about the Prime Minister of Canada. People would have said, you're nuts. No way that ever happens. I'm very concerned about what happens to Tamara and Chris as they walk into that courtroom in a couple of weeks. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, I hope it's earned your subscription. Subscribe to the channel before we're silenced, before we get kicked off the air. And a lot of people in the last video where we talked about this said, oh, just go to Rumble. Just get a VPN. It doesn't matter what platform you go to. It doesn't matter if you have a VPN. If you're recording the content within the confines of Canada, you know, when you pay your taxes and you file that I live at this address, when you have a bank account that says I live at this address, if you do those things within the borders of Canada, folks, it is a crime. It's not about the platform. Stick with me. Hopefully our free speech hangs around. Join me live twice weekly on the channel now, Wednesdays and Fridays, for Unhinged Fringe on Wednesdays, Friday Night Fringe on Fridays. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about everything going on in the country, everything in politics. I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe on Fridays. I want to hear from you in those streams. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear from you in the comment section. YouTube has been deleting comments lately, deleting thumbs up. I feel like we're being tested already in these algorithms to see what happens when they push everything down. Make sure to throw your comments and your thumbs ups in there, folks, if you enjoyed the content. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one.